Now I would like to introduce our panelists. Professor Evangelia Kavakli is an information systems professor at the Department of Cultural Technology and Communication of the University of Aegean. Dr. Christos Kaloniatis is the head of Department of Cultural Technology and Communication of the University of Aegean, and he will join us online. Eleni Zarimi also will join us online, and she is the financial and management engineer, innovation manager, and PhD candidate at the University of the Aegean. Dr. Ioannis Katsounis is researcher at the University of the Aegean, and his doctoral thesis was on the contribution of the blue economy to the cohesion and development of the regions of the European Union, which is very timely and relevant to our today's discussion. Evangelis Zaftis is the student of the University of the Aegean and a member of the Blue Commission that was presented to us yesterday. Isabel Toman, working as a senior officer for the Sustainable Development and the International Association of Universities based in Paris at UNESCO, will join us online. And Maria will also join us, and she is has PhD Environment Management from the University of Aegean and was ERUA Winter School lecturer. So first of all, let us start from the conceptual framework, and I would like Professor Evangelia Kavakli to start.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to ask our organizers if we need to have a 2-minute short break, as they told us, or if we can continue as planned. Okay. Unfortunately, we have to take a short break of 2-minute break. So please, the people that are online, we're really sorry about this. We'll have to rejoin in a couple of minutes. So in the meantime, though, since we're all here, or we're coming in here, perhaps we can have, let's say, a more informal conversation while we're waiting. And maybe you can pose your question. What would you like to hear in this conversation? Nomeda has already introduced the people in the panel, and you know what this is all about. So please, if you have something that we have not planned to talk about, maybe you have 2 minutes until the, the session starts again to put forward your question.
Public understanding and action.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me properly.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. First of all, thanks for the invitation. I'm happy to be here. Just to make a small correction in the introduction, I'm the former head of the department. The new head of the department is sitting next to you. It's Evangelia. I'm happy to be here. Unfortunately, I couldn't manage to be in Lesbos. I'm very happy that we listen all these interesting things about ERUA and how ERUA progressed over the years. I think it's very important, especially for an insular, our participation as an insular university. I think it's very important to be these kind of alliances. Well, the cultural technology communication by itself, it's a department with high level of multidisciplinarity, and this multidisciplinarity can easily affect any activities, actions related to sustainability, since sustainability issues and circularity issues are, I believe, on top of the pyramid of the multidisciplinary issues that we have to develop. This is why I think my role here today was mostly to, I have an IT background, so I would like to introduce a new topic to sustainability that our department is preparing to achieve, which is the introduction of 2 new master programs that are currently under development in the context of a European project, which is called 3D Circular. And I think that's our contribution to answer your question. These 2 master programs tend to enhance, to examine the role of digital technologies in the circular economy era and the circular economy domain. What we see is that a high level of a great impact on circular economy issues is the intrusion of new technologies like AI, blockchain, etc., in these domains. And we see a gap. We saw a gap in this area, especially on the part of the awareness issues. So that is why from August 2025, a new project started with the University of the Aegean leading this effort with 32 partners from all over Europe, like a second ERUA, let's say, a new alliance of industrial and academic partners, which we are currently developing 3 new master programs, 1 MBA, 1 by research, and 1 TOT program, which are going to target the education of European citizens in the digital deep tech-driven circular economy. This is the title. It's actually introducing how new technologies, advanced technologies, impact circular economy, which of course is directly related to sustainability. This will be totally online, will be virtual English-related programs. And I think that ERUA partnership by the university's role in ERUA and the ERUA partnership can contribute a lot through the participation of students and universities in this effort as well.
Thank you very much. And you are expert in cultural communication. I think it's very specific expertise in this area. And actually, currently, we're living in 2 realities, and trying to mix those realities, physical reality and digital reality. So which formats best connect universities with local communities, our students, our young people, professors, local communities? How can we communicate about sustainability in the best and most efficient manner? Would it be like exhibitions, living labs, citizen science, storytelling? What works the best, according to your opinion?
I think it's a very interesting question, and I think that this is a very challenging question depending on the scope that you examine it. So you have to consider the place that you are in. So, for example, the University of the Aegean or us staying in Mytilene, maybe we need, or we do, have to adopt are not staying in a small area like Mytilene. It's a different topic if we're talking about Paris, it's a different topic if we're talking about Athens. But this blended approach, in-person and online, using in-person and online means, I think it's the only way forward. Because indeed, we have a huge number of students interacting with the university. Some of them are staying in, mostly bachelor students are staying in, on our islands, in Lesbos, Chios, etc. But most of them, researchers, professors, people from master programs, cannot be approached easily through through live activities. So yes, we have the ability nowadays, and we have the tools that we didn't have before to conduct this type of activities using innovative technologies. That's why I think that technologies is the only way forward in terms of creating a bigger impact than the one that you could have done in small societies that we are living in. So yes, we can promote sustainability with practices in our society, with people interacting in our society, but of course we cannot avoid adopting new technologies in order to pass the message and provide awareness and training and other type of activities related to that to people that are not here, because the universities, they are living organizations, they create knowledge, but this knowledge is not just for people that are attending live classrooms, it's for, the knowledge should be spread everywhere. And in order to be able to spread that knowledge, we used to spread that knowledge through research, through papers, through academic documents. These are very important, but they are not reaching our end users. They're not reaching all the citizens. Now we can create campaigns that are blended with in-person and virtual setups. And I think that the University of the Aegean has a very good experience on online activities and distance learning activities. So yes, I think that this blended approach is the only way forward to promote sustainability issues in people and audiences that would like to learn more about it, but cannot physically attend us. The only definite thing is that we have the tools to do it and the expertise.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from the audience? Okay, before we warm up, let's turn to curriculum and learning block of our discussion. And I would like to give the floor to Eleni Zari and ask her the question about what principles should guide Euphoria curriculum design across disciplines? What principles should we as ERUA implement in designing curriculum?
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Thanks for having me here. I'm really glad to be all in the same place, to share a common ground and have the chance to meet each other. So this summit it provides the chance to be all in the same era and share ideas and opinions. So going back to your question, Someda, and thank you for this, I believe that if we want to have sustainability, and this sustainability is a real thing in our universities, it's something that shouldn't belong to just a single department, but it should be something shared. And if we talk about Euphoria curriculum, we should have in our mind that there are 4 main principles that should be shared. The first one is community connection. The second is competence-based learning, co-creation, and the last one is interdisciplinarity. So this means that we have students, and the students to think in systems, and not only to understand the environmental sustainability, which is something that is just one part of the truth, but we also have other things to share, like social, cultural, economic, and of course political sustainability, and we should understand that in real context. So each experience should be rooted in the place. For example, if you have to take the example of Lesbos Island, we should understand that we should connect things. Means that if we have to explore how we can balance tourism and ecological resilience in this region, we should connect SDGs. We should connect these disciplines. And we should do the same things for urban planning, energy, social inclusion, and other things. At the same time, sustainability and education are something that is co-created. It's an input from students, academics, and local partners. And of course, when we involve community on this, the outcomes are relevant and transformative for all of them. So we should think that universities, ERUA universities, are some kind of adaptable institutions in all sustainability disciplines. And of course, they are providing a learning process by thinking and doing. So this should be the mindset behind the Euphoria curriculum design.
Thank you. And how can we connect learning outcomes to SDGs, and how to measure community impact? Like short-term, long-term community impact?
Yeah, I think that SDGs become meaningful only when we connect to the reality, the real life of people and communities around us. So instead of teaching just the SDGs, theory and the abstract and the goals, we should make them real local priorities. We should translate them in a way. So we should make them part of our daily life, meaning make them real for the region we live, the town we live, the country we live. And these will help us design outcomes and, of course, bring both academic and community dimension to the table. For example, if students work on responsible consumption, which is SDG 12, they might collaborate with local businesses in order to reduce single-use plastics. The academic outcome could be to design or redesign a circular product or service model. And the community impact in this case could be to measure the reduction of waste, or how a new practice can be easily adopted by the audience or by the local people, the local project. Every idea has two main results. The one is to demonstrate how students have learned something, and the other is to show how the community has changed. What are the benefits? Even in a small way, we don't want huge changes sometimes because we cannot easily integrate it in our lives. So to make this happen, I believe
Thank you very much. And we already have 2 years of ERUA experience, and we have some successful projects, successful pilots. What is the most efficient, effective way to scale up successful pilots across ERUA? We are located on the edges of Europe. We are like powerful organizations. How to scale up and communicate our success stories?
Yeah, well, ERUA from the beginning is full of surprises, full of events. The most known are hackathons, biennales, science cafes, and all these actions that actually are very inspiring. They have created a nice gathering of pilots, and of course, they are built in local needs in order to provide potential learning for everyone, not only the students and the academics, but also the people that are involved in the projects. But with a common characteristic, not to lose the local characteristics of the area that the events are taking place. So for me, the best way to do that is with sharing, mentoring, and adaptation, rather than making simple replications of these actions. And when a pilot really works, and we can document it and we can measure it, the objectives and the methods and the partnerships and all the lessons are really relevant. We learn the outcome and we make all the outcome available to other alliances, to other people, to other communities. Then through short online exchanges and of course training sessions and events like science cafes, which are more informative, colleagues from all the universities and stakeholders can learn how to adapt the methods and the main disciplines in their own context. So this means connecting people, this means connecting ideas, storing materials, storing databases, and of course, showcasing results. We also can support from all this kind of organization, all the seeds for more and fruitful next coming events and networking actions. Because all these pilots are somehow the beginning of a greater story. So this is the way that I believe that all these things starts with local initiatives, and not only from the main local university, but also from a more greater gathering from stakeholders that coming in one place and provide a common story, a shared practice across its region, its town, its place.
And also, we at universities are about assessments. Professors assess students, peer professors assess their peers, and it's, much of university life is about assessments. And how can assessment methods reflect sustainable competencies like system thinking, resource-efficient use, civic action, communication, and other green skills that are not. I'd like to encourage the public, if you have any questions, ideas, insights, just feel free to raise your hand and interact. It's like our joint co-creation workshop. Yes, Eleni.
Yes, or making a comment about it, because, you know, at the end of the day, we should assess if something is effective and it brings benefits to the real goals that we have already set from the beginning. So if we want to foster sustainable competencies like systems thinking, as you said, civic action, or the communication that should be more effective, then the traditional way of examining and assessment is not enough. We need something more realistic, something more authentic that somehow is mirroring real life practice, which is more community project, many portfolios and reflective, I don't know, journals, visit trips, and public presentations that are somehow passing the experience to the audience and make them understand how we experience this through all this journey. For instance, instead of writing a final essay or something more like a report, students could present their own projects to local partners, receive feedback, and reflect their own proposal in order to know if it's really sustainable to the community. And this is not only about knowledge, it's also about collaboration and communication and impacts. And I would like to share my professional experience in terms of innovation management in the case that I'm consulting businesses. They say that, okay, we have people coming for internship and we have some ideas coming from the universities, but we do not really understand what is the impact for the industry, what is the real benefit that comes to the real market. So if we want to make this assessment more sustainable and more real, we should translate the outcomes to their own language, because they are the pushing marking, they are the pushing actors to make things more adaptable, to make things working in the real life. So if we go one step further and we think about having a more complete assessment, yes, I could say we need the knowledge base, which is the assessment, the classic traditional way. And of course, we need more storytelling, more project presentation, more engagement in the real market, because this is the life that goes in the same momentum with the knowledge provision of the universities and the research we do in terms of academic terms.
Thank you, Eleni, very much for your insightful talk and presentation. And now I'd like to turn our attention to student, to Vangelis.
Thank you very much.
You have some reflection, like how can the Blue Commission and the ERUA become like a permanent engine for student-led initiative and like cross-campus cooperation and how to coordinate those activities? Maybe you have some ideas how to empower this beautiful initiative.
Thank you for the question. I think it's necessary to move from just the participation of the students to a co-leadership methodology for sustainability practices and reports and, like, as we mentioned yesterday, the manifesto that we write. It's necessary that students not only advise on sustainability practices, but actually help to design and approve. For example, each major sustainability project or policy could have a student to co-author this policy with the green committees of each university. So in this model, I think the Blue Commission represents the student voice in sustainability governance across the campuses. But to make this work more effectively, we also need a strong collaboration and support between the Blue Commission and the green committees of each university. So in this way, I think the Blue Commission brings the student energy and the creativity that we have, and the committees of the universities bring the institutional know-how and the continuity of the project itself. So in this way, we can bridge policies with practice. Thank you.
Maybe you have thought about any structures, how can ERUA help our student movement and to ensure that student-led sustainability like projects could be implemented in real life, like students would be like real actors of sustainability instead of like only advisors or sitting aside or stepping aside. We are here for you, students, and we would like you to be like owners of the processes. So do you need any structural help from ERUA?
I think we need some support, obviously. And the first one is to dedicate some funds for university-based sustainability projects. That means for each project we do as Blue Commission or as ERUA, we need to have a standard fund or a budget to work with. Not a big one, but a small, just to fund the project. Also, the initiative with the certificates and the ECTS helps a lot because the student engagement is bigger, and we need students, not only the members of ERUA, but the other students that don't even know what ERUA is in most universities. And also, ideally, we need a mentorship program that mentors linking with students and help them to to involve with the regional staff of each institution and the university initiatives as a whole. That's all. Thank you.
Also, I would like to talk about sustainability in terms of student projects being sustainable longer than one semester. Like, what support is needed to ensure that student projects take more than one semester? Like, what support is needed? Like, maybe some microfunds, mentors, like credit recognition. How to develop a system that would help like sustainability in terms of time, student-led projects?
I think because we have the Blue Commission, it needs to be more permanent structure inside the ERUA. And then through governance and the collaboration with professors and committees, green committees, we can do annual reports, annual meetings, and only for sustainability, because we have the summit, we have other forums, but we need one for the sustainability. And it's difficult, as we talked yesterday, because it needs every university to apply the policies, and not only some of them, because if we do that, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So yes.
Thank you very much. Maybe we have some ideas, insights, provoking questions from the audience. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Very insightful, and I think it's about time that we involve the local communities with all of this, because I think it's also the vision of ERUA. And I'm going to say something that I heard from Eleni, the presenter before, which is sharing, mentoring, and educating. And I just wanted to say that a big country is based on a
We're doing several webinars and science cafes, and indeed, an interesting idea would be to connect these activities with somehow consulting the small businesses that Yorgos mentioned. And I'm sure that there are other very interesting topics that you might wish to see addressed in these webinars. So you all are, I hope that you all know who the local WP5 representative is in your universities. If not, then we will try to expose ourselves a bit more to you. So, and send you the people that you can reach, so that your ideas will become our topics in our next events.
Thank you very much. And now I would like to give the floor to Isabel Thoman from the International Association of Universities and invite her to like a little bit expand our understanding, expand our horizons, what is the Association of Universities doing, and how students in other organizations, universities are doing for sustainability. So Isabel, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Numeda, and also hello from me, and really great to be here. Thank you to ERUA and the organizers. I heard you had a very insightful week already with the winter school and the program and the discussions, and I enjoyed listening to the previous presenters. It gave me a bit of an insight of all the various topics that you have been able to cover. I am not part directly of ERUA, but I work at the International Association of Universities in Paris at UNESCO. And we're a membership-based organization, and we have several of the ERUA members also with this alliance. I'm just going to double-check, Nomeda, would you like me to present the slides I have prepared? Also conscious of maybe, I hope everyone can see them in the room.
Yes, please, we would be. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So I'll be sharing my my screen, so bear with me just for a second. Perfect, I believe you should be able to see my screen now. Yes, I see nodding from my colleagues online. Okay, that's great. So I am already said that I work as a senior program officer for HESD. I'm going to be saying what that is in just a minute. But I also recognize that many of you might not be familiar with the IAU, so I just very briefly wanted to say that we're this association globally. We're celebrating 75 years of the association this year, and we have around 600 members. Most of them are higher education institutions, but also regional organizations and affiliate members in around 120 countries. Also, one of our main purposes is historically to have this database of higher education institutions, listing accredited institutions, together with UNESCO, working with UN UNESCO on various topics, having similar projects on research, on publications in general, this like monitoring and networking function for and with our members. As a global association. And on the bottom of the slide, you can see our 4 thematic priorities, which are leadership, internationalization, sustainable development, and digital transformation. And the area of work that I am coordinating is sustainable development or higher education and research for sustainable development. So that's the HESD there. And if you were asking yourself what we are doing on this association level, so we're really, I shared some of the main activities here. So it's really actually many things that university alliances also do, encouraging this peer-to-peer learning, looking at what can we improve to do for sustainable development, for the sustainable development goals. A huge priority for us is foster what we call a whole institution approach. So really working with all parts at the institution. The previous speaker also said how important that is. And also providing this leadership training, capacity building, and also services for universities also to network with each other. And the activities that I wanted to briefly mention is that we have this portal where we've been sharing activities. We're conducting research, we'll be launching research for sustainable development. So I invite you to look out for that. And then we work on different programs. I'll be just giving an example in a moment. And on different networks that also further help to work on very specific topics and issues between the different universities in these groups. I wanted to mention the IAU HESD cluster because this is a group where also Nicolas Ramirez is engaged in, and I hope hopefully soon more universities, but this is structured around the SDGs. This is a network that we launched in 2018 and has been growing ever since. It's a more, I think, loose and flexible network, in the state, than an alliance. So we're not as much focusing on different topics or organizing winter schools, such as an alliance with students, but we do provide a space online and hopefully also again next year in person to meet, to exchange, and to also talk a bit strategically how what can we do to in the different areas of work in teaching, in research, and in community engagement. How can we work more meaningfully with the sustainable development goals and also find these cross connections with the SDGs. So this is a very valuable network as well in terms of expertise and in terms of seeing all the different actions and for also seeing the very different approaches of diversity from all parts over the world, how universities are working with the Sustainable Development Goals. And one thing that I came to my mind when I was listening earlier is this notion of thinking globally but acting locally, and I think that also was reflected in the previous conversation, sort of having this idea, okay, we are a global network, we have this global idea, may it be the SDGs, may it be through an alliance or through a network, but how can we translate this to local knowledge and local knowledge to the communities? And I think especially for working with the SDGs, they're very, very easy to communicate, they're very colorful, they have a lot of awareness already in the 10 years that they've been around, but also then the connection to local projects, of course, really needs to be there in order to reach this whole of society approach. I've mentioned the whole institution approach, and I just very briefly wanted to mention that there is a big area of work at UNESCO on education for sustainable development, ESD. And in this context, IU is also currently working on publications that will be published probably, I think, next May, June is the timeline that we're working with, and it's a set of 3 guidelines, and this is actually part of the guideline on the whole institution approach, and there will be another one on ESD competencies and ESD assessment that we've also touched upon on the discussion before. But I really wanted to stress this definition. Again, there will be a new one next year, but adjusted, of a whole institution approach, really involving the entire institution, involving staff and students working together, so having this notion of co-creation to have a sustainable institution, but also this microcosm of a sustainable society. So if we're talking sustainable communities, of course, we're thinking of a community in terms of a city or a town, but we're also thinking of a university community. So we have this duality also of the university reflecting on the wider community and practicing what is being taught, what it teaches, which also I think is exactly the words that my previous colleague used. So I think this is just this idea to recollect. We're working holistically. We're not just working on environment. We're working on social sustainability. We're working on also the economic sustainability, of course, but we're working on this partnership-based approach to combining this whole institutional approach in very different forms. So this is something, as you can tell, that I'm very passionate about, to making these links and to speaking about that with different universities. And so maybe next year you will see more about that in the publication. The example that I wanted to give, which I think is really important, student engagement as an integral part of the whole institutional approach. And this has been said just very much in the beginning, in the opening words of my colleague, that students have to be at the center of everything that we do at universities, and that we have to not just invite the students to come along, but actually take a strategic approach to student and to staff engagement to improving this whole institutional approach, and linking to existing activities for students, linking to the curriculum, linking to research. And the program, and that's the picture you can see on the screen. So this is from an audit that we conducted as part of the Responsible Futures program at at Trinity College Dublin last year. And I wanted to very quickly give you the example of Responsible Futures, which is a capacity building program, online and in person. So there's also the option to do it as a blended version, as the colleagues in Dublin did. And this is a slide with a lot of text, and I'm very conscious that that not everyone in the room might be able to see it. So I'm just going to summarize it a bit. And the Responsible Futures program is really a program that has been around for over 10 years. IU is co-implementing it with students organizing for sustainability in the United Kingdom. So it's been around for around 10 years in the UK, and then around 3 years ago, IAU came on board for an international program, starting with the pilot in 2023, and now we're in the 3rd cohort, I think, internationally, with around 12 institutions that are part of this program, which is approximately a 1-year circular program. But the idea of this program is to involve students, staff, and leadership to look at what are the activities already going on at the different faculties, at the different departments, connect them. So the beginning is really just a stock take also of the activities, very critically asking oneself, how can we further improve? Because we know sustainability is a journey. It's not something we can get to, and once we tick that box, we're done. No, it's really a continuous process. And throughout this program, the participation institutions, they work with a framework that has different categories in it. So teaching and learning is one, community engagement is one, but also partnerships, but also procurement, more technical, environmental sustainability, emissions at the university is also one of the different sections in the framework. So throughout the 1 year, accompanied online by one-to-one conversations, support, and also by group cohort catch-ups, as we call them. So there's also, again, this element of peer support. These institutions go to this program, and then ideally after approximately a year, the institution undergoes an audit. And the interesting thing is that the audit is actually conducted also by students that get trained before, that get the questions before. So they really have a role in this audit, because they're in the end also providing a score on their own institution. So that I think is a very interesting concept, both from the student-led audit and both from the idea of having this program at the whole institution. And if you have more questions on that, I'm sure the colleagues from Nicolas Ramirez that have been part since the pilot will be happy to provide you more information on that. I'm also conscious of time, but I really wanted to provide some examples for community engagement that we've been talking about from all over the world. Also, of course, we're in a European group with ERUA, but we were very much also seeing examples from Thailand, examples from India, from Egypt, how community engagement is also connected with living labs, with awareness campaigns, and also with students volunteering as part of their credits in their studies, going to communities. I think this was also a really interesting concept from colleagues from Thailand, that is actually part of what they have to do in their studies, be engaged in a community project, but also having sort of these exchanges with the community and thinking that there's a lot of knowledge and learning, especially when you come to indigenous knowledge and communities, that the students can also get from the communities. So it's definitely a two-way street, so to say. And these examples were just some that I really wanted to highlight here, and I'm sure we can make the slides available later. I also have a list of some of the publications that I use working on some more information on responsible futures, but I will not go through these in detail right now, because I also just wanted to share some thoughts and also some reflections as well on the speakers previously. So I really hope that I could give you a bit of an insight and on what you have been saying, what I wanted to take away from this discussion, and I hope you also be taking away from your discussions last week, is really the spirit of cooperation, is really looking at this whole institution approach with the communities, with the student staff, and also with the leadership. So really looking at it strategically, because we know there can be a lot of motivation and will, but without the right support. And I think, Nomeda, you were asking this earlier for a student project. Of course, we have to be realistic, because we have to make sure the capacities are there in terms of knowledge, in terms of finances. So this is where the leadership can come in to enable these types of activities as well. And that's also where European alliances are a very great framework to do these type of activities meaningfully with students. And come together in this blended way with you there in the room, and a few of us here online. I think I'm sure there might be some questions or some further discussion, but I think I'll stop my presentation here. And thank you so much, Nomeda. It's back to you.
Thank you, dear Isabel. Do we have any questions to Isabel? Yes, please.
Hi there. Thank you so much for your question. I have one question. What is the biggest paradigm shift that you've seen that is required to make that connection between universities and communities?
It's a good question. I think in terms of examples, we've seen a lot of really great examples during the COVID pandemic, actually, where universities have been going into communities and really providing also support. They had the laboratories to do so, but also the humanities has stressed earlier, because now we have the tools to connect people even if we're not in the same place. And I think as a university, digital literacy is also a big topic that can be addressed, and where universities can also help communities, help different members of the community at different age groups to feel included into this transition. So I think this is, in the last years, the digital transition would be my biggest shift. And also in terms of sustainability, of course, we can use that as a tool. But not seeing universities so much. I mean, I don't have the statistics at hand, but you can look at the OECD or UNESCO reports. Enrollment numbers for tertiary education are going up, but of course we know compared to the world population, it's still a privilege, and it's still a minority of people that will have a master's degree as part of their education. So these two considerations, I think, digital and also accessibility to higher education would be something I would mention there. Thanks.
Thank you, Isabel. Also, I would like to emphasize the Living Labs approach and the challenge-based learning method. Actually, universities is a safe environment for our students to learn, to make mistakes, to solve different challenges within our communities. And this Living Lab approach could be like a red line through our student-led initiatives in terms of community engagement, because if there is a problem, there are like students are their enthusiasm, energy, knowledge with the leadership of professors can be really powerful actors in connecting universities and communities. And we shouldn't be afraid of making mistakes, of experimenting, of learning through the process. And if we as ERUA could encourage this approach, I think it would be really powerful movement throughout Europe and through its edges. And now I would like to turn our attention to like personal behavior patterns, what we have learned from the winter school. What behavior patterns are necessary for people to make like real changes, how to change our campuses, how to change our personal lifestyles, how to reduce plastic, paper use, how to sort out waste, how to engage in sustainable commuting to university. What are the underlying behavior patterns? Maybe you, Professor, could comment on that. What were the discussions in the winter schools? How to press the button to change the behavior? Where do we have the microphone, please? Maybe you can.
Okay, thank you. I have been participated in the ERUA project. Closer, okay. Thank you. Through the winter school, we have organized with a colleague a workshop on behaviors for behaviors understanding and changing for climate change. Of course, we were centered, we were focused on environmental sustainability, which is the basis for all this we're looking around, we're experiencing around us. And we have understand, after this workshop, the students were participating very creatively, and I believe that they loved that experience. And we have also given to our students some specific areas of focus. For example, some big challenges that we're facing, like food, fashion, energy, transport, and they came up with so many ideas, solutions, but also with a problematic and thinking about the roots of our crisis, the impacts they're facing, and some creative solutions. So I believe that it is very important for our students, for the students, but for all of us, for communities to understand very well the causes of all this we are facing. So awareness, knowledge and awareness are very, very crucial. And I believe that through their studies, it's very important to get this awareness, but also to have the opportunity to come up with solutions during their studies through living labs, through different experience, but also in collaboration and in connection with local communities, because I believe that the major goal of these universities is to come up to the local communities and the global communities, of course, with practical and sustainable solutions. So behavior change, for me, is in the center of this whole global effort for global transformation, sustainable transformation. We need the tools and the means to help our students and our university communities and our local communities to understand how to deal with this all information and data flood that we all experience, and to come up with solutions, behaviors, different behaviors that can be in place right away in different contexts, in different cultures, in different areas. And I think this is very crucial and very central with the ERUA Alliance, because it brings together all these different backgrounds, cultures, ideas, understanding of problems and of challenges. And I find that it can proceed, and in this collaboration with learning outcomes and with skills that can be extremely useful for the young people.
Thank you very much. I think that university in its very essence is about different cultures, different experience, different knowledge sets, how to connect those to sustainable future. And actually it starts from the very basic like human lifestyle and interaction between different like group of students, different stakeholders within the community. And do you have any ideas how to normalize sustainable patterns, how to develop like value systems within universities? Like one of them was like based on audit, but maybe there are some deeper layers. How to change this mindset of our communities into more sustainable living?
Yes. I believe that I'm involved also in the Green Committee of the University of the Aegean. So I can see that it's very urgent, I believe, for all the courses to have some sustainable, to be connected to sustainable development goals, and to use this approach in order to engage students in practical ways of participating in their courses. For me, I have seen that and I have experienced that my students are very highly appreciating the way we are I'm offering the course, and it is I'm giving them some problems of our campus or our city, and I'm urging them, and I work with them, or we invite some stakeholders and invited speakers that are very experienced in the issues. So they have to come up with a solution. But as you have previously mentioned, they need a guidance. They need to feel appreciated. And when this is happening, I see that they're giving so many, their values are changing. I have seen that, I have experienced that. So I believe this, for me, this is very important, to be engaged in campus life, in campus problems, in local communities problems, and come up with real solutions, real world solutions.
Thank you very much. And students are usually very innovative and courageous to think. So I think it's the power centers are in their hands with the guidance and leadership of our professors. Also, I saw the hand raised by Sarah. Sarah, maybe you can verbalize your question.
Thank you. My name is Sarah from Viadrina. I'm in work package 5, and I'm also a sustainability officer at Viadrina. I think we just talked about student engagement and sustainability, and I think the manifesto that the students have developed is the perfect to-do list for all of our universities. It's very concrete. It's like a checklist that every university can use to see what have we already done, what can we do. It has very concrete measures which everybody agreed upon, and also the rectors yesterday, okay, they didn't sign it, but they said they would get in an open dialogue on it, so that's a chance. But I think it's even more important, not only like ERUA-wide talking about it. This is what you have already done. Now the question is how we can fill it with life at every university. So I don't know, maybe we can have something like small sustainability groups at each university that help in this process, and that can connect, of course, that can share good practices, something like local networks that help come to life the manifesto. And also, I'm also part of the Green and Inclusive Committee, and there we have done, or all the colleagues have done a big analysis of what each university does in terms of sustainability and inclusiveness, and I think we will see the results in a few months. Maybe, I'm not sure what the time frame is, and this is also something we can use then as a starting point. Where are we? And yeah, then I think we just take the manifesto as to-do list, and yeah, things will get better.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Zofia, and I am from SWPS University in Warsaw and work package 8. I have a question regarding sustainability and particular recycling. I don't know how it is in other countries, but in Poland, when we started the recycling project, we had like 3 main groups: plastics and metal, paper and glass. And people would sort at home, you would sort your garbage accordingly. Now, all the time, they are introducing more and more categories. So an average citizen, and before, there were recycling companies who were profitable businesses. They would pick up those bags from your home, and they were profitable businesses. People had worked there, and they were actually efficient. They had very sophisticated machinery to help them sort the garbage, etc., etc. Now they are introducing more and more categories of recyclables. So an average citizen has to spend more and more time like segregating their garbage. And also an average citizen needs an encyclopedia to know which piece of garbage goes where, right? Because it's hard to remember. Meanwhile, those businesses that were, it was their work to, and it was their business to do the recycling and sort the garbage. They are losing money, people are being laid off because there is nothing more to sort. So my question is, have there been any studies, economic studies, statistical studies, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, to show what is really better in terms of recycling and for communities? Because now, as a citizen, I'm spending hours and hours recycling my garbage rather than going to my garden, planting plants that would bring wildlife, that would improve soil, that would do something for the planet. So my question is, have there been any studies done, like actual practical studies, scientific studies that would show which type of recycling is better? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Now I would like to open this question to the audience. Maybe somebody has heard, somebody has read about this challenge our society, our communities are facing. And maybe it's a challenge we as ERUA should provide a solution to in our next Ideathon, Hackathon. Yes, Atif, please.
Good morning for everyone. It's not like a question, it's just like explanation something. ERUA is like 8 countries, but from my perspective, ERUA is like a globalization because we study different countries. We are not a European. Every people come from like African, Asian. So it's like a global community. How we can solve the issues? I mean, I have 3 experiences. The first one is Las Palmas. The second is Poland. The Face of Justice. This is my third one. So I meet different people, different countries. So ERUA provide a good platform where I can share my ideas and my different things and solve the issues. For example, I'm working on my PhD dissertation. It's like a clean growth. It's like a new concept. This work only Canada and the UK. So I found a person, they will be help me how we can further. So I appreciate is ERUA is a great platform where we can share our ideas and more connections and survive as a family and united. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, dear Atif. I think there is no ready question because like we have come from different regions, different cultures, different perspectives. Yes, please, maybe you have the answer to our question.
Hi, I'll try to answer the question. Actually, there have been a lot of studies, a lot of psychological studies about circular economy and sustainable behavior. And most of the studies back in the end of the 90s and the beginning of this century came to the conclusion that this thing should come bottom up. It should come from the whole idea of sustainability and circularity should come from consumers and people. And actually, this is a sort of a nudge made by the regulators to try to make us think even more. However, it is done in the wrong, I would say, in the wrong way because of the regulations in the other directions. As you said, we have now regulations and split that make it hard for us to do it. If it is easy for us as consumers to do it, this is the way that we are starting, like we are making our minds more conscious about it. And I think that this is something that not only ERUA but universities in general could help for by including this type of not only thinking but policy directions to make things easier from both business perspective and consumer perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much. George, yes, please.
George Globulus. Some years ago, we were running a project concerning recycling, and we were in Finland. And it was a magnificent place where they were putting all recycling material, and there was, at the end, there was nothing. And they said, how can we do this in Greece? I say, you can't. Why? You don't pay for that. So there's a cost for everything, and if you pay, you recycle everything at the end.
Thank you very much. And we also had a reflection on the other side of the hall, I think. Or maybe no reflection. Okay, yes, please, Rector.
Well, from the University of Las Palmas, somebody knows also that I am half Japanese, and I'm going to tell about the experience of Japan. I mean, the important thing is when you are in an island, and we come from islands, and Japan is 6,000 islands, and Greece is 1,023. Well, depends on how you count it. Okay, could be even more. In the rocks also. The thing is that for a really long time in Japan, they have to manage all the things, and they have to keep their environments as well. Therefore, how you do it? Before the Industrial Revolution, everything was recycled, everything. But now we have a lot of materials that are very difficult to do it. But somehow they manage, because they cannot send the garbage to another place. They have to try to manage the garbage in their own cities, for example, in Tokyo, a place where there are more than 40 million people, almost in the bay of Tokyo. Almost all the population in Spain can enter this bay. And what I'm saying is what they did in the beginning was, okay, first there is a big strategy of all these megalopolis, but it's also bottom up. Everybody, with no exception, has to collect their garbage and separate it at home first, and bring it out, program day by day. Monday for something, Tuesday for another thing, Wednesday, and then in monthly strategy. Then different systems bring the garbage to different places. Eventually, this can provide energy. Eventually, this can provide materials. Eventually, this can produce even more islands. And then Tokyo is growing different islands that have been made by garbage. Well, this is how Japanese people resolve the thing. We are living, some people in islands, we are living in edges. How we should resolve all this system, because it can be managed, but we should resolve our garbage by ourselves, not to throw the garbage to other third countries like in Africa.
Try to do this in Greece, they're going to throw you the garbage.
Yeah, the thing is that we have to take it at the end seriously, because the world and the time is ticking anyway.
Thank you very much, and I would like to
sorry, I'll just add bottom. Yes, I do agree, and I don't, like you see, as a citizen, I wouldn't mind doing this if they showed me, look, by doing this, this is what's the benefit. For now, I only see the negative in Poland, because those businesses that were taking care of it are closing. I'm not talking about shipping garbage to other countries. It's not that. So if citizens see tangible results and benefits, then they don't mind doing it. And in Japan, there are tangible benefits from what you said. So,
thank you very much. We have a student reflection, Lydia.
Yeah, so hello, I'm a student. I was at the winter school. I'm from the University of Paris 8, and I'm going to talk first also about the idea of the workshop, and then also connected to your question. Well, as a student, I think the most efficient ever that we're going to be in recycling is an action that people are willing to do, that students are willing to do, and most of the time it's because it was their idea. that's why they're willing to do it. So what we did in the Psychology of Climate Change workshop, one of the exercises was to create ideas to a real problem, and we identified the problems as students. And I think regular workshops in university, and I'm just talking about the level of universities, not society or anything like that, but at universities, students do want to get involved. We do not have the problems of having to show them what the impact is going to be, because they already know it. We've been talked about it, like we have lived in this world for long enough. We were born with the problem. I think anyone from our generation will always be willing to do it. They just need to feel that the initiative is coming from them, that the solutions they can actually do, and that they will be respected. So I think the idea of a regular workshop that was mentioned earlier in the universities of ERUA would be the best, because, and workshops where we can say, okay, we're going to ask you, what do you want to do? We're going to guide you, give you some information, of course, like maybe you have a teacher saying basics information just in case we don't know, or we don't know that it doesn't work, but that we can gather ideas by that in terms of regular workshop for university to put into place a program that would actually, people would be motivated to do it because they thought about it and they created it themselves, and that would be the most efficient anyway. We don't need, I think, a study to see which would be efficient. The efficient one is the one people are willing to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes,
thank you. I'm Justine from Work Package 8 Communications. I see the interest for the topic is huge. We see in the morning after the party we are all here, and there are so many comments. I just would like to remind you we have ALLDAY coming up, and you could use the opportunity to talk about this with your local communities, with the students, with all the external stakeholders during the ALLDAY on these topics. So please take the advantage of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I would like to turn our discussion to regions, SDGs, partnerships. And I would like to give the floor to senior researcher, Dr. Ioannis Kotsunis at the University of the Again. Maybe you can provide some insights, ideas, reflections of how can the SDGs and regions approach concrete mutual commitments with the municipalities, like regional authorities. How can we partner?
Okay. Thank you, Nomeda. Yeah, the Sustainable Development Goals and a regional approach can create strong mutual commitments between universities, municipalities, and regional authorities by providing a shared framework for sustainable territorial development, anchored in the European Union's priorities for social cohesion, for green transition and social inclusion. The SDGs offer a common language through which local and academic actors can align their strategies and, of course, their responsibilities. By translating these global goals into regional action plans, municipalities and universities can co-design initiatives that respond to both local needs and European Union objectives. And also, this approach encourages structured collaboration through joint governance mechanisms, participatory planning, and shared monitoring indicators. For alliances like ERUA, such partnerships reinforce the link between knowledge creation and societal transformation, and ensure that universities act as active regional partners in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, and, of course, advancing Europe's broader vision of sustainable and inclusive development.
Thank you very much. And which partnership models would allow regions and universities to co-own the outcomes? Maybe we have some ideas and insights regarding that.
Thank you. Effective partnership models that allow regions and universities to co-own outcomes are those built on shared governance,
mutual accountability, and sometimes joint resource management. Within the European Union framework, formal agreements such as memoranda of understanding can institutionalize co-responsibility through joint steering bodies and common strategic objectives. Also, co-developed indicators and impacts frameworks can ensure that both parties measure in a successful way through aligned metrics reflecting sustainability priorities. More practically, joint research and innovation labs or living labs further translate collaboration into practice and enable co-creation between academics, policymakers, and local community, with outcomes shared through open knowledge or co-ownership arrangements. In a similar way, territorial innovation pacts and co-funded research positions connect the academic expertise to regional development agendas. So, again, for alliances like ours, like ERUA, they can enhance openness, participation, and a reliable, sustainable regional transformation.
And do you have any ideas, like, where can ERUA add value to European and international networks, as, for example, International Association of Universities? How can we contribute to development?
We are a reaffirming alliance, so ERUA can add distinctive value to European and international networks, such as the International Association of Universities. And we can bring a reform-oriented, socially engaged, and interdisciplinary perspective to global higher education cooperation. Rooted in the European Universities Initiative, ERUA can be a model of alliance building and combines academic excellence with a critical mission, promoting democracy, inclusion, and sustainable development. So we can contribute with innovative approaches to institutional transformation, to open science, and community-engaged learning. We can also strengthen the global dialogue on the future of the universities, and we can help to bridge regional experiences and promoting a more interconnected, equitable, and sustainability-driven higher education landscape. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And to wrap up our roundtable discussion, I would like to ask one concrete and measurable step. Like, what next steps, one collective step should we as ERUA people to take and commit to after the summit to embed sustainability as a daily practice in our universities, in our ERUA community? Maybe our panelists or people in the audience might have some ideas, like what would be the area we could commit for sustainability up to the next time we meet again. Any ideas? Yes, please.
Sorry, I love to talk a lot, but this is very important because I'm an architect and urban planner. I really believe that our universities, our territories, not only are places to think, but also to act. And I believe that the campuses are the core of this action and the core of demonstrate how we are really sustainable and we are really committed. Therefore, beyond the social matters that I absolutely conceive that they are the core and the origin of all this, if you want to say that we are edges universities, we are edges territories with specific conditions and problems and isolation, but we are interconnected, we have really to rethink how we can materialize all these thinkings. Therefore, ERUA has to take advantage, of the engineers, architects of other universities, and go on in an active, real action to transform our universities. We have to produce a strategy of mobility. We have to produce a strategy of different services and improve the buildings or adapt the buildings, and have, of course, a clear action plans for everything related to water, energy, and all the garbage that we already mentioned. And if we do so, maybe eventually our universities and our campuses will be the core of this transformation for our territories that we love and we live, where we live, and we will be connected with a common strategy to design. Therefore, this is my clear proposal that it should be done sooner or later.
Thank you very much.
I would also like to bring forward some of the discussions that we had in our group these days that relate to this matter. One important community of ERUA is also the faculty. And these are the people that are designing the curricula and the ones that aim to bring sustainability into their teaching. And sometimes it is easier. For example, if you are in marine sciences and you are in environmental sciences, if you are in medicine and pharmaceutical sciences, to say, okay, I promote health and good living. I promote a life underwater. But there are, as we said in the beginning, sustainability is not a matter of environment only. And what we, as ERUA, are aiming at is to kind of inform and educate our faculty on how to bring sustainability issues in their teaching. They're teaching math, they're teaching computer science, they're teaching culture and museology. Okay, museology is easier. But maybe maths, maybe physics is not as easy to think in terms of sustainability. But still, we need to bring sustainability in all our teachings. And this is something that as ERUA and as WP5, we want to achieve, and hopefully we'll have some results before the end of ERUA.
Thank you very much. I also saw some hands raised.
Thank you so much for the insightful information on the topic. I have so many questions coming up, but I want to just basically say one thing, that somebody once told me, you go to university with an empty mind and you live with an open mind, not a full mind. And coming from a business background, I've seen that a lot of times the academia have a different mind and the business have a totally different perspective of things. And if we manage to combine those two, and if we manage to break the paradigms and interconnect, and ask the whys, and understand, for example, that all the initiatives are great, all the ideas are great, but sometimes in real life there are bottlenecks, which might be bureaucracy, sometimes be politics, sometimes be incentivizing, sometimes be adding value. We might be able to find a win-win situation to move forward and not just stay on the ideas, but actually move in and reduce a little bit the times. Instead of saying we have a project for 1 year, let's bring it down to 1 month, because automatically that changes your mindset and you're finding solutions a lot faster.
Thank you very much. And the last but not least reflection before our coffee break.
Yes. Hello. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, but as for concrete suggestions on what to do and how to make the universities more sustainable, I think as Sarah was saying, we have the Blue Commission manifesto as a list of next steps, potentially a guideline or a plan of implementation that can be really used as a basis and start with working groups at the different universities. So yeah, I think that's a concrete manifestation bottom up that we already have that we should also use.
Thank you very much for a practical and hopeful discussion. And we have seen that sustainability advances when curriculum design, student leadership, and regional partnership reinforce one another. And when communication turns research into a shared action. Let's carry forward like 3 commitments: embed euphoria across learning pathways, empower students through, for example, Blue Commission as co-governance of change, and anchor our efforts in regional SDG partnerships with clear indicators. And if we do that together, I believe that ERUA not only will teach sustainability, but it will live it with communities across Europe. And yeah, I see that our time, I'm sorry, is running out, and we have like a small break before the next session, and then kindly invite you to the next plenary discussion about sustainable futures and arts, which will bring more ideas and like balsam to our souls to further discussions on sustainabilities. So thank you very much, and let's continue our talks during the break and after.
Okay.
Thanks so much. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Well, welcome back after this long break, which means we're running half an hour late, but it's fine. So, welcome to this panel dedicated to arts and edges, a somewhat hazy or confusing notion because people keep asking us, what do you mean by arts and edges? What are the edges all about? So this is an ongoing discussion. We are not done with it. We've discussed it within the steering committee for several times already. It's been discussed also during the meeting dedicated to our strategic roadmap. But I think that our panelists will help us delineate the contours of those infamous edges, precisely. And I think since we're pretty late, I'll hand it over immediately to Professor Elena Theodoropoulou, who is full professor of philosophy of education, with an emphasis on practical philosophy at the University of the Aegean. She serves in the Department of Preschool Education Sciences and Educational Design. And in her institutional leadership, she's been director of the Laboratory of Research on Practical Philosophy, which will be, I think, a very good illustration of what arts and edges are all about as well. And Elena has held coordinating roles in international conferences, educational research projects, and Erasmus Plus mobility programs, including ERUA, in which she plays quite a prominent role, we must say. So, Elena, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Of course, even if I would like to talk about the Laboratory of Research of Practical Philosophy, and thank you, Arnaud, for this. Here I will try to give you a concept about the Biennale Arts and Ages, of which the first edition, online edition, will be at the end of November, as probably some of you know. And I will try to make the connection between the concept of edge, the art, and the arts and the Biennale. So when we speak about edges, of course, we are not evoking boundaries of closures, but thresholds. There are porous and living zones where things meet, overlap, and transform. The ERUA Biennale Arts and Ages, coordinated by the University of the Aegean, was conceived as precisely such a threshold, an infrastructure of encounter between art, research, and society, between the university and its main outside. Born with the European Reform University Alliance and the activities of Work Package 5, Achieving Social Change in ERUA's local communities and regions, the Biennale is not simply an art event, at least in the frame of ERUA. It is a gesture of articulation, a way of testing how artistic and academic practices can co-shape one another and generate new forms of shared learning. To act and think from the edges in this sense means to embrace the periphery, not as a site of marginality, but as a method, a creative force of reorientation. And why we have decided the arts to associate it to the concept of edge. The decision to link the Biennale specifically to the arts and not, for instance, to the human or social sciences or to STEM, stems from the singular capacity of artistic practice to think through form, gesture, and material rather than through representation. The arts operate at the very threshold where perception becomes reflection and where experience is transfigured into meaning. They inhabit the same dynamic that defines the notion of the age, a space of passage, of tension, and transition. In this sense, the arts do not merely illustrate or communicate ideas. They perform thought. They expose thinking as a living experimental process. This is why the Biennale could not have begun elsewhere. It starts from the arts because the arts are, by their nature, already plural, transdisciplinary, and porous. They offer the most vivid ground on which to test how creativity and knowledge can be reconfigured when they touch the borders of the university and the world. That said, the Arts and Edges framework remains open and inclusive, By its very structure, it invites other forms of inquiry, including scientific and technological approaches, to enter into dialogue with artistic research. In future editions, this dialogue may well expand towards STEAM, integrating the experimental precision of sciences with the sensibility of art. What matters, however, is not disciplinary inclusion for its own sake, but the cultivation of an edge thinking, an ethos of inquiry that remains responsive, inventive, and alive. And it is in any case a challenge for the Biennale to invite and convince participants, especially those coming from fields other than arts, to take this perspective seriously and to explore how their own research can enter into dialogue with artistic ways of thinking. Yet this very effort brings us to another kind of edge, the edge between disciplines, between ways of knowing and making, between reflection and creation. Each edition of Arts and Edges rethinks what it means to create and to collaborate across difference. Rather than curating exhibitions in the traditional sense, the Biennale acts as a platform for shared experimentation. We believe that artists, students, researchers, and local communities come together to explore how art emerges at the contact points between disciplines, between contexts, between the visible and the invisible dimensions of experience. The 2025 Online Biennale extends this experiment into a distributed participatory space. It brings together artistic and research contribution from all ERUA partners universities, each reflecting on what it means to create at the edge of institutions, of disciplines, and of the territories. The forthcoming Biennale 2027, to be hosted or another Aegean island, we don't know if it will be in Rhodes or no, will move this dialogue into physical space. An island at the edge, by definition, becomes a metaphor for method. There, art and research will intersect through mainly workshops and residencies around questions of sustainability, insularity, and belonging. Across these iterations, the Arts and Edges series builds a cartography of practices linking artistic creation with social reflection and civic participation. It asks how art can respond to the urgencies of our time, not by illustrating them, but by inhabiting them, by creating new gestures of sense and visibility, where thinking and making are one of the same act. This Biennale embodies the very spirit of ERUA. It translates the Alliance's founding principles, experimentation, openness, plurality, inclusion, into artistic and pedagogical gestures. In this way, it functions as a living laboratory within ERUA, where arts becomes a mode of research and research becomes a creative process. Yet perhaps its most significant contribution lies in how it redefines the relationship between the university and the communities. In Lesbos, for instance, collaborations have emerged with local cultural associations, refugee support networks, schools, and young artists collectives. These partnerships open new forms of dialogue between academic and non-academic publics, turning the university into a place of shared creation and civic imagination. Similar processes are now unfolding across the ERUA network, inviting artists and researchers from different countries to engage directly with the local environments where our universities are rooted. Through this collaborative logic, Arts and Edges contributes to ERUA's larger mission, to rethink the European university from its peripheries. It shows that peripherality is not a weakness, but an epistemic resource, a condition for reimagining knowledge as a public, creative, and inclusive practice. The Arts and Edges Biennale so invite us to think and act otherwise, to see the periphery not as a limit to be overcome, but as a method of composition, a way of holding together difference, distance, and potentiality. In this perspective, ERUA's strength lies precisely in the distributed geography, in its multiplicity of local context and creative edges. It is from these edges that the Alliance learns how to think in motion, how to sustain an ongoing dialogue between arts and education, between research and social transformation. Ultimately, the Biennale is an invitation to inhabit transitions, to dwell in the in-between zones where forms of knowledge, art, and community intersect. Through the Arts and Edges series, we are learning that art does not simply represent the world, It reconfigures the very space where meaning becomes possible. And in doing so, it reminds us that the future of the university, and perhaps of Europe itself, will be shaped not from its centers, but from its fragile, generative, and luminous edges. And to conclude, I could tell you that really this Ardent Edges experiment is difficult. From our experience, from the persons that have already submitted for the online edition of Arts and Ages Biennale, they don't really understood the stake. That is to say, they relate their science project with local communities, for example, but not with arts, or relate art with local communities, but not with something which is near to show how interdisciplinarity could function. Is a challenge, and I believe that in the second edition of the Biennale, we will have the possibility to go to the STEAM perspective in order to show how all these levels can be shaped together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elena, and you forgot to mention that there is also the 6th International Interdisciplinary Seminar on Practical Philosophy for PhD and Master's students coming up. Yes. And since there are students in the room, I think we should mention that, because you're all welcome.
We will be delighted, Arnaud and I, to host you to this international online seminar. It's for practical philosophy, but through an interdisciplinary way, and we will have also sections about beyond humanism clusters. That's why we are invited you with Professor Regnault to be there. If you want, we can share to you the links.
Thank you. So thank you, Elena. Based on what you've just said, this is a perfect transition for our next speaker, because we spoke about how the aesthetic experience, which is a non-conceptual, non-intellectual experience, can lead to conceptualization and to new forms of community. So it's a pre-political gesture that is conducive to the production of new forms of knowledge, that is a welcoming gesture, highly hospitable, open to the rest of the community as well, including the non-academic community, which is perfect to introduce Michael Anthimos Dissos, who's Deputy Regional Governor for Culture and Social Welfare at the North Aegean region. I must also add that Michael is a singer, so the aesthetic aspect, the aesthetic dimension that was mentioned before will resonate deeply with his own artistic activities. And the question I prepared for Michael is, how can the arts and music in particular help to disseminate knowledge throughout the general community? And given our position on the edges, how can we navigate and reach our own peripheries? The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Αξιότιμε κύριε Ρινιού, αγαπητοί συνομιλητές, αξιότιμοι εκπρόσωποι της Ευρωπαϊκής Συμμαχίας Πανεπιστημίων ERUA, κυρίες και κύριοι φίλες και φίλοι του πολιτισμού. Σας καλωσορίζουμε στην έδρα της περιφέρειας Βορείου Αιγαίου, το όμορφο νησί της Λέσβου, την πατρίδα της Απφός, του Αρίωνα, του Τερπάνδρου και εν γέννη στην περιφέρεια Αιγαίου, όπου υπάρχουν μεγάλες μορφές του πολιτισμού, σε αυτή την άκρη του Αιγαίου, που συνάμα είναι η καρδιά της Ελλάδας, βάση κυρίως του πολιτισμού, και θα τολμήσω να πω και η καρδιά της Ευρώπης, της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης, του δυτικού κόσμου και του δυτικού πολιτισμού. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ για την πρόσκληση και την τιμή να ομιλήσω σήμερα εκ μέρους της Περιφέρειας Βορείου Αιγαίου, αφού πρώτα σας μεταφέρω τους χαιρετισμούς, τις ευχές του Περιφερειάρχη μας, του Κωνσταντίνου Μουτζούρη, και Πραγματικά ευχαριστώ για την μεγάλη τιμή να μιλήσω σήμερα όχι με την ιδιότητα μόνο του Αντιπεριφερειάρχη Πολιτισμού της Περιφέρειας, αλλά και ενός ανθρώπου που εδώ και πάρα πολλά χρόνια ασχολείται με τη μουσική, καθότι, όπως είπατε και πριν, και σας ευχαριστώ πολύ για τα όμορφα σας λόγια, εκτός από άνθρωπος ο οποίος ερμηνεύω την μουσική, την τέχνη, είμαι και εκπαιδευτικός στην δημόσια εκπαίδευση της μουσικής αγωγής. Με βάση λοιπόν όλη μου αυτή την εμπειρία και την ασχολία μου κυρίως με την τέχνη, θα σας μιλήσω και εξειδικευμένα για το κομμάτι της μουσικής, όπως και εσείς μου έχετε υποδείξει στην ερώτησή σας. Πώς μπορούν λοιπόν οι τέχνες να λειτουργήσουν ως δρόμοι γνώσης και από τη δική μας οπτική γωνία στα άκρα της Ευρώπης, όπως μπορούμε να προηγηθούμε και να φτάσουμε στις δικές μας περιφέρειες, όχι μόνο γεωγραφικά, αλλά και πνευματικά. Για εμάς που ζούμε και δημιουργούμε στο Βόρειο Αιγαίο, οι έννοιες της περιφέρειας και των ορίων έχουν πραγματική υπόσταση. Είμαστε νησιά στο σύνορο, εκεί όπου η Ευρώπη συναντά την Ανατολή, εκεί όπου οι αποστάσεις δεν μετρώνται μόνον με μίλια, αλλά και με ευκαιρίες. Κι όμως μέσα από αυτή την απόσταση αναπτύσσεται η πιο δυνατή ανάγκη. Η ανάγκη επικοινωνίας, η ανάγκη να ακουστεί η φωνή μας. Και αυτή η φωνή, ας μην το ξεχνάμε, ήταν πάντοτε μουσική. Και ως μουσική που χρησιμοποιείται ως γλώσσα της γνώσης, η μουσική είναι η πιο καθολική μορφή γλώσσας που έχει επινοήσει ο άνθρωπος. Δεν γνωρίζει σύνορα, δεν απαιτεί μετάφραση. Είναι μαθηματικά, είναι συγκίνηση, είναι ιστορία. Στην ουσία η μουσική είναι ένας τρόπος να γνωρίζουμε τον εαυτό μας κυρίως, την κοινότητά μας, τον κόσμο γύρω μας. Όταν ένα παιδί, παραδείγματος χάρη στην Χίο, μαθαίνει να παίζει μπουζούκι ή ένα νέο κορίτσι στη Μυτιλήνη μαθαίνει βιολί στο τοπικό οδείο, δεν μαθαίνουν απλώς νότες. Μαθαίνουν πειθαρχία, συνεργασία, ακρόαση, δημιουργικότητα. Μαθαίνουν πώς να συνυπάρχουν με άλλους μέσα από την τέχνη του συντονισμού, κάτι που είναι στην ουσία το μάθημα της δημοκρατίας. Η περιφέρεια Βορείου Αιγαίου διαθέτει ένα εξαιρετικά πλούσιο πολιτισμό και ένα πλούσιο πολιτιστικό τοπίο που μπορεί να λειτουργήσει ως εργαστήριο γνώσης για όλη την Ευρώπη. Από τη Λέσβο και τη Χίο έως τη Σάμο, τη Λίμνο και την Ικαρία, οι τέχνες ανθίζουν μέσα από πρωτοβουλίες που συνδέουν τη μουσική με την εκπαίδευση, την έρευνα και την κοινωνία. Στη Λέσβο, για παράδειγμα, το Φεστιβάλ Μουσικής Μολύβου έχει καταφέρει κάτι θαυμαστό. Να φέρει τη συμφωνική μουσική στις αυλές των σπιτιών, στα καφενεία, στα σοκάκια ενός αιγαιοπελαγίτικου χωριού. Εκεί όπου ο ήχος των εγχόρδων αναμειγνύεται με το θρώισμα του ανέμου, γεννιέται μια νέα μορφή παιδείας, μια αισθητική παιδεία που δεν χρειάζεται αμφιθέατρο για να μεταδοθεί. Αντίστοιχα στοιχείο, το Anatolian Jazz Festival συνδέει την jazz με τις μουσικές της Ανατολικής Μεσογείου, ανοίγοντας διαλόγους ανάμεσα σε πολιτισμούς. Μέσα από σεμινάρια, διαλέξεις και αυτοσχεδιασμούς, νέοι μουσικοί γνωρίζουν διαφορετικές μουσικές γραμματικές και μαθαίνουν ότι η γνώση δεν είναι στατική, είναι ρυθμός, είναι ροή. Το Πανεπιστήμιο Αιγαίου με την έδρα του στη Μυτιλήνη παίζει επίσης καθοριστικό ρόλο σε αυτή τη διαδρομή. Μέσα από τα τμήματα πολιτισμικής τεχνολογίας, επικοινωνίας και περιβαλλοντικής εκπαίδευσης, συνδέει την ακαδημαϊκή γνώση με την πολιτιστική πράξη. Έρευνες για τη λαϊκή μουσική παράδοση, την ηχητική οικολογία των νησιών και τα νέα μέσα στη μουσική δημιουργία μας βοηθούν να κατανοήσουμε πως η τέχνη μπορεί να αποτελέσει εργαλείο κοινωνικής συνοχής και ανάπτυξης. Το ερώτημα που τίθεται συχνά είναι πώς μπορούμε να πλοηγηθούμε προς αυτές τις περιφέρειες, πώς φτάνει η γνώση εκεί όπου το φυσικό ταξίδι είναι δύσκολο. Η απάντηση, κατά τη γνώμη μου, βρίσκεται σε 3 λέξεις. Διασύνδεση, ψηφιακότητα, κοινότητα. Η απάντηση, λοιπόν, έχει δοθεί και θα σας αναλύσω, λοιπόν, το κάθε ένα. Η διασύνδεση. Η δημιουργία συνεργασιών μεταξύ των πολιτιστικών και εκπαιδευτικών φορέων, όπως προείπε η αγαπητή εκπαιδεύτρια. Όταν το Φεστιβάλ Μουσικής Μολύβου συνεργάζεται με το Πανεπιστήμιο Αιγαίου ή με τα μουσικά σχολεία της περιφέρειας, δεν οργανώνει απλώς συναυλίες, δημιουργεί κύκλους μάθησης, όπου οι νέοι γνωρίζουν πως η τέχνη γίνεται γνώση και η γνώση τέχνη. Δεύτερον, η ψηφιακότητα. Στο Βόρειο Αιγαίο αναπτύσσουμε ήδη ψηφιακές πλατφόρμες που καταγράφουν, διασώζουν και διαδίδουν την τοπική μουσική παράδοση. Η μουσική βιβλιοθήκη Αρχιπέλαγος Ήχων, παραδείγματος χάρη, συγκεντρώνει αρχεία παραδοσιακών τραγουδιών, ψηφιοποιεί παλιές ηχογραφήσεις και τις καθιστά προσβάσιμες στους πολίτες και στους ερευνητές. Έτσι η γνώση ταξιδεύει πέρα από τα νησιά, μέσα από τον ήχο. Τρίτον, η κοινότητα. Για να φτάσουμε στις περιφέρειες, πρέπει πρώτα να εμπιστευτούμε τη δύναμη των ανθρώπων που ζουν εκεί. Η τοπική συλλογή, τα οδεία, οι νέοι καλλιτέχνες, οι δάσκαλοι μουσικής, οι φοιτητές, όλοι αυτοί αποτελούν το ζωντανό δίκτυο διάδοσης της γνώσης. Η τέχνη ανθίζει όταν ανήκει σε όλους, όταν οι άνθρωποι τη νιώθουν δική τους. Στα νησιά μας γνωρίζουμε καλά τι σημαίνει απομόνωση. Όχι μόνο γεωγραφική, αλλά και πολιτιστική. Η μουσική όμως έχει μια μοναδική δύναμη, να γεφυρώνει. Όταν ένας νέος της Ικαρίας συμμετέχει σε ένα πρόγραμμα Erasmus+, με αντικείμενο την μουσική εκπαίδευση, ή όταν μια χοροδία από τη Σάμο τραγουδά διαδικτυακά μαζί με μαθητές από τη Δανία, τότε τα σύνορα χάνουν το νόημά τους. Η τέχνη λειτουργεί ως γλώσσα διαλόγου, ως κοινό πεδίο κατανόησης. Και αυτό είναι ίσως το πιο σπουδαίο μάθημα που μπορούμε να πάρουμε και να δώσουμε. Ότι η γνώση δεν είναι μια υπόθεση των λίγων, αλλά μια κοινή εμπειρία που αποκτά αξία μόνο όταν μοιράζεται. Η Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση των Πανεπιστημίων ERUA, στην οποία συμμετέχει το Πανεπιστήμιο Αιγαίου, αποτελεί μια ζωντανή απόδειξη ότι η γνώση μπορεί να ταξιδέψει, να δικτυωθεί, να διαχυθεί. Αυτό ακριβώς είναι και το όραμα που υπηρετούμε και εμείς ως περιφέρεια πολιτισμού. Να μετατρέψουμε τα νησιά του Βορείου Αιγαίου σε κόμβους δημιουργίας, σε τόπους συνάντησης και ανταλλαγής. Να κάνουμε τα άκρα μας κέντρα. Να δείξουμε ότι από τη Μυτιλήνη έως το Παρίσι, από τη Σάμο έως το Βερολίνο, από τη Χίο έως το Ρέθυμνο, μπορούμε να χτίσουμε μια Ευρώπη που δεν διαχωρίζεται από αποστάσεις, αλλά συνδέεται από τέχνες. Επιτρέψτε μου να κλείσω με μια σκέψη απλή, αλλά βαθιά. Η γνώση, όπως και η μουσική, δεν είναι ποτέ στατική. Είναι ζωντανή, δυναμική, αναπνέει, εξελίσσεται μέσα από τη συμμετοχή όλων μας. Στα άκρα του χάρτη, εκεί όπου οι ήχοι των κυμάτων αναμειγνύονται με τις φωνές των ανθρώπων, γεννιέται ένας πολιτισμός της συνέχειας. Και αν κάτι έχουμε μάθει εμείς στο Βόρειο Αιγαίο, είναι ότι η μουσική δεν είναι πολυτέλεια, είναι τρόπος να υπάρχουμε μαζί. Όσο υπάρχει τραγούδι, υπάρχει κοινότητα. Όσο υπάρχει κοινότητα, υπάρχει γνώση. Και όσο υπάρχει γνώση, υπάρχει ελπίδα. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Thank you very much. And if I may, I'd like to summarize what you said, part of what you said, in the fact that we are not just reasoning bodies, we're resonating bodies. We're a bunch of bodies here in this room, united together by a common vibration, that of your voice, that of music, etc. We're perceiving bodies before being intellectuals or academics or students brought together. And this is a form of community as well. Another point I'd like to quote from your presentation is that knowledge is about rhythm and flow, and that resonates deeply with what Elena was saying. Siga siga is this slowing down, taking the time to elaborate knowledge, work together, create this sense of community. This runs against the general trend toward acceleration, and ERUA should not be about that. It's about taking the time to discuss together, and therefore we'd like to hear a student point of view as well, and that is that of Natalie Todorova, who's an ERUA student ambassador and whose field of studies is arts and humanities, fine arts, art history, art management. As well. And as a student ambassador for ERUA, I'd like to hear about your experience and how ERUA has fostered dialogue, how has it bridged gaps, and maybe shifted perspectives for you and for your fellow students, especially in the field of the arts. So, Natalie, the floor is yours. Thank you.
So, thank you for the invitation to speak today. And as a student ambassador within ERUA, I often find myself navigating between edges, geographical, institutional, and personal. So, these edges are not just boundaries, they are also thresholds. They are where questions arise, where practice shifts, and where new forms of connection becomes possible. We're gathered here at the edge not of endings, but of beginnings. In my experience, the arts are not a luxury, but at the periphery, they are a necessity. Art is the language of survival. It helps us imagine futures that are inclusive, sustainable, and emotionally resonant. Whether through performances, okay, thank you. Projects, the arts allows us to build bridges across disciplines, languages, and lived realities. The art is documents, it disputes, and it shows different dreams. It is the archive of our past and the blueprint of our future. So being part of ERUA also with that means learning to listen to the local voices, to the regional rhythms, and to the silent urgencies of our time. It means asking how we can co-create this knowledge that doesn't just circulate within academia, but reaches communities and inspires action and heals divides. I've seen how student-led initiatives, especially those involving art and culture, can activate space
Experimental research involving arts and technology reinforce the social role of the arts within and without, that is, beyond our community. And how does this articulate with ERUA? So, Anne, the floor is yours. And thank you for being with us. I know you're super busy. So.
No, it's thank you very much, Arno. I just had I was a bit afraid because of the time. I was not sure about the time, but I'm very happy to be with you. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me well? Yes?
Yes, we hear you very well. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so maybe I can just say a few words about Artec, the research school of Artec first, in order to present it to you very quickly. So Artec is what we can call a graduate school of research, or a university research school, which is dedicated to research creation in the fields of arts, of course, but also in humanities, in human sciences, and also in the field of digital technology. So one of the specificities, of Artec is this question of research creation linked with digital technologies. So it's an association, a consortium of many institutions, academic institutions like universities and research centers, but also cultural institutions like museums, theaters, and also art schools. And so the three major axes of research of Artec are the question of creation as a research activity, the question of the new mode of writing and publication, especially with digital technologies, and the question of the link, the relationship between technologies and human being. Technology in heritage. And then Artec is launching 8 calls for projects each year to finance research projects, but also publication, creation activities, and doctoral projects, postdoctoral projects, and also what we call in French module d'innovation pédagogique, which means pedagogical innovation modules, we can say, pedagogical innovation, which means in order to share with you maybe 2 examples of Artec projects, which according to me are very symptomatic of what Artec is trying to do, but also of how these projects manage to link creation activity, artistic activities, with what we could call the edges, which are in this case, in fact, society, social projects and social groups. So the first project I wanted to speak about is the project of Judith Deschamps, who is working with Arnaud Regnault, and who is just finishing her PhD work, which was about a kind of appropriation of AI technologies. And so Judith Deschamps is an artist. She was doing a PhD in the field of research. The things she did, she had a project about digital technologies, and the aim of this project was to practice writing with AI, so generative AI, with old people who are in a therapeutic structure that we call EHPAD in French, and old people who have some pathologies or some difficulties with their memories and some difficulties to tell their own stories. And Judith project was a project which aimed at nourishing the AI with the stories of all these persons, all these people, and to train the AI according certain specific criteria in order to make this AI become a kind of cognitive prosthesis for this person, for these people, to work together and to manage to tell their own stories. And I think that this kind of project is very interesting because it's not only like an artist using AI to produce his or her own work, for example, his own book or his own painting or I don't know what, but it's really using AI as a collective, a social and a therapeutic mediation inside a group. And the artist is not doing one work of art, but the role of art is completely displaced. It is transposed into a social context, and art is having a kind of therapeutic value, making people being able to reappropriate their own stories and to write, whereas they are in a position of extreme vulnerability. And in our imaginaries, digital technologies and AI technologies are most of the time associated with the idea of performance, of power, of control, of programs. And here you have a completely different way of using and seeing and considering these kind of technologies. And so the artist is also transforming our representation of the technology itself, and I think it is really symptomatic of what research creation can do at the same time for society, but also for our so helping social groups to take care of them together, and also yes, how arts can transform our imaginaries of these technologies, which are now which are now conditioning our everyday lives. So this project, I guess, is a very good example of what ALLDAY is trying to support. And another project, which is not a doctoral project this time, but which is a kind of a research project, is also very interesting and symptomatic too. So it is not linked this time with AI technology, but it is linked with the idea to explore birth stories. So birth stories, which are so the artists are gathered some stories about birth, about giving birth, from women, from men, from healthcare professionals, and from all these stories, they try to perform in an artistic way what they call the epic story of birth. So their hypothesis is that the question of birth and of giving birth is something quite taboo in our societies, but also in the arts, in the narratives, and whereas it is something like very epic, and they want to make a kind of performance, which is at the same time which uses theater, but also music and also literature, because it's very well written performance. In order to try to raise the question of how can we translate what they call this commonplace heroism of giving birth, and how can we create an epic of childbirth which could help families experience these events, and also not only experience, but also how we can say that tell about this event, remember this event,
through AI with an approach that is based on the ethics of care, which is also an element that seems to me quite essential to the work we're doing within ERUA as a participatory collective process. And this is all about giving back their voices to silenced communities. And since we're talking, I mean, we mentioned retirement homes or EHPAD. Those are places that are within cities most of the time, but on the edge of society. And this brings me to the question of architecture as well, since we have the pleasure of listening to Eva Lorca today. Eva is an architect and a full-time professor at the School of Architecture at Las Palmas University, and she's been recently appointed the Director of Social Action of the university campuses of the university within the Vice Chancellor's Office for Culture, Sports and Social Action. And since Eva is involved in a research cluster within ERUA, my question for her is the following. In the light of the work you've been conducting in the cluster in which you're involved, namely art, culture, and the city, rethinking European edge urban territories, how do you think art and culture can contribute to rethinking or reshaping cities situated on the edges of urban centers, and how can they contribute to impacting urban communities as well? So I know you have a PowerPoint, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
We'll explain this further in this presentation. Art and Edges, artistic approaches to explore and rethink urban edges in ERUA campuses, which have been developed in collaboration with Monika Rosinska and Jolanda Starczak from the SWPS University. As edges, we have already heard here, are often perceived negatively, despite of often unique opportunities by existing between many different realities. Our study proposed the use of innovative artistic practices to explore how local and university communities perceive and navigate the ERUA campuses, and also to foster a deeper understanding of their tangible and intangible values. Here, the Utopia of Construction number 5 by the Gao brothers illustrates our understanding of edges, showing how at the edge between two or more different realities, new, unexpected, and richer opportunities can emerge. In ERUA, as my colleague Jean Taira has fully explained, we all come from universities at the edges, and we also have campuses at the edge. The ULPGC Tafira campus is located at the intersection of many different realities, at the edge between the city and the countryside, between agricultural and suburban residential areas, between quite different scales. So even though the physical disconnection from the city center and the mixed use could be as negative features, its edge position offers amazing opportunities to experience different and richer university life, and to connect university with society in ways that are quite different from being in the city center. While the context in Warsaw is different, there is also a complete disconnect between the campus and the rest of the city. However, it could also become a hub for interchange between society and academia. We understand edges as transitional spaces where physical, sociocultural, political, and symbolic boundaries intersect. In university campuses, edges mediate between institutional structures, historical legacies, physical discontinuities, and contemporary urban and suburban life. So, through multi-method and artistic research, we think these edges could reveal how communities perceive, navigate, and creatively engage with urban space, fostering social innovation, inclusive city experience, and a deeper understanding of place values and opportunities. Therefore, what we propose is to bridge methodological boundaries by integrating diverse research methods to enhance the understanding of the richness and potential of edges. Here, Cost of Provenance number 7 by Paul Klee suggests that edges are not merely boundaries, rather they represent powerful opportunities to create new, more vibrant and interesting realities born from reinterpreting the previous one. And in order to foster integration and a deeper understanding of space, we propose to combine the following methods: artistic practices, such as visual and sensory walks, narrative or workshops, with participatory cultural events. I mean, site-related performance designed to encourage new ways of perceiving these spaces. We consider that for the success of the project, it is necessary to establish a dialogue involving university community, society, expert, and artist. First of all, I'm going to refer to visual and sensory walks. We understand them as research and learning practices designed to foster a deeper connection with the environment through conscious and exploratory observation, paying attention to details and sensations that often go unnoticed in order to discover places in a more meaningful way. These walks involve moving while observing, but not only with the eyes, with all 5 senses, paying attention to the physical and intangible features of space. We aim to explore walking as a critical tool of spatial investigation and artistic practice, a tool to trace how movement through spaces from the derive of the situationist to contemporary exploration transform walking into both a method of perceiving and at the same time producing space. Through practices such as the derive, the situationist sought to bring routine and experience urban space more freely and consciously, showing how the urban environment influences our emotion and behaviors. Guy Debord's Naked City Map is a key example of how psychogeographic maps can reimagine the city, showing connections based on lived experience rather than cartographic accuracy. In summary, the objective of visual and sensory walks is to rediscover urban space by promoting conscious observation through the creation of situations and the organization of encounters and other ephemeral events to intensify this experience. Here, this psychogeographic map by Lucien Cordy reflects her feeling during a bus stop, and it is a great example of what we mean. Second, I would like to refer to narrative. It could be cut through in-depth interviews to capture meanings attributed to spaces, building, and transformation. And it is important to take into account that the narrative of a place refers to the collection of individual and collective stories, traditions, memories, and meanings that people associate with a specific place. It goes beyond historical facts, objective data, incorporating subjective elements. A good example is the use of in-depth interview in the exhibition Countryside the Future, held by Ren Koolhaas and Amo, allowing individual voice to enrich the overall narrative related to rural areas. Narrative research can highlight the interplay between memory, identity, and embodied experience, showing that meaning emerges through interaction, not only through form. Here, Olafur Eliasson Inner City Out transforms urban space into a set of narrative exploration, prompting participants to reflect on boundaries, transition, and the interplay between natural and built environments. Then, visitor response becomes subjective narrative, revealing how people interpret and experience urban edges and transformation. The project thus highlights the potential of artistic innovation to surface personal and collective stories embedded within a place. And in third place, I would like to refer to workshops. In this case, Erwin Graham's Lamine of Sculptors illustrate how artistic practices can disrupt habitual ways of relating to space and objects, opening new possibilities for meaning. By encouraging participants to abandon their usual behaviors and interact with everyday objects in unexpected ways, Graham transformed the body into a set of exploration and discovery. And this approach demonstrates that the significance of a place or an object, it is not fixed. It emerges through embodied experience, interaction, and participation. Meaning is generated through the dynamic interplay between people, space, and action, revealing hidden aspects and new perspectives that enrich our understanding of a place. And finally, I would like to talk about participatory cultural events. I mean, seed-related participatory cultural events designed to encourage alternative ways of perceiving and using the ERUA campuses to reveal their potential and opportunities. For instance, the project Dancing the ULGPC campuses, inspired by Peter Cook's Instant City. And combining all these methods, we pursued building participatory knowledge by bringing together university community, society, experts, and artists to co-create insights into ERUA campuses. Through all these innovative research practices, by promoting the physical and sensory exploration of ERUA campuses and allowing the multiple narratives that converge within them, we aim to dispel the negative connotation often associated with edges, revealing their richness and their potential to contribute to a new, richer, and more complex reality. And to conclude, how does this multi-methodological approach relate to ERUA its campuses? In our opinion, through art and culture, it fosters a deeper understanding of ERUA campuses, revealing their potential to enhance society, but encouraging alternative perspective on their physical and intangible dimension, fostering community engagement. How? Prompting ERUA campuses as vibrant living labs and hubs for community and academia exchange, fostering creative exploration and experimentation, artistic, social, and urban innovation, transdisciplinary dialogues, interdisciplinary and collaborative work, inclusivity, and imagination. And I just wanted to finish expressing that I'm really excited because yesterday I shared this presentation with some students and they were amazed and really looking forward us to make it true, not to keep it as a presentation, to really develop those methodology in all the ERUA campuses all together. No? So thank you so much.
Thank you, Eva, for showing us ways of re-inhabiting the world, in a way, through this mixed method approach. And you've insisted on the importance of the senses, of an embodied experience, and this is a theme that's been running through this roundtable since the beginning. So we should take stock of that and meet more often, physically, actually. Then the last presentation is going to be that of Christian Bankoff, and this actually is an interesting, I mean, the question I'm going to ask him is, resonates deeply with what has been said before, because dealing with AI and new technologies, generally this raises the issue of disembodiment, and we could quote Lyotard, can thought go on without a body? At all. And we're confronted with the massive datafication of the world, a world run by algorithms, and hence this question that I'll ask Christian, who's been heading and steering a research cluster entitled Artificial Intelligence and Creative Industry Employment Disruption. And therefore my question is, how serious is the threat posed by AI to creativity and creative work, and how can we respond to this as a community? And I'll introduce Christian, of course, because I didn't do so before, is a full professor at NBU, and his major research interests are theoretical semiotics, semiotic research of brands, the consumer culture, digital culture, and new media. And he's also interested in economic value and money science. So Christian, I'm handing it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnaud. So, we established our research cluster in a period in which there were kind of concern of some guilds, creative industries guilds like the American Screenwriters or other similar groups that AI will really substitute the labors. So we established our cluster as a research in this direction with some ideological background. After 1 year and a bit more than 1 year, and after one conference dedicated to this topic around our clusters, I must say that actually this threat is not perceived that much in the creative industries work labor market. On the contrary, what this international conference, somehow if I summarize a bit the contributions, was that there is emerging a new level of creativity. Actually, creative people become more creative with AI. And this initial threat, sense of threat, actually, we never verified it. Actually, there are threat or other more routine typologies of work and labor which are in danger, and not that much that someone now is firing people because AI is doing it. Actually, on the job market, it seems that this disruption is less request for new places for jobs for this kind of occupation which AI can substitute. But in creative industries, which is our main interest, and we had some good view on different representatives of them, actually they have a new challenge. And AI is developing with such a speed and with such a dynamics that there is a lot of creative work just to obtain the maximum of AI. So people are creative in using AI in various ways, in creating new applications, in developing the big variety of products deriving from AI. We had remain with this impression, especially on the report on the music, screenwriting. So we had kind of workshop with a guy who was teaching screenwriting to other people. So he showed us the ways AI help this, and to what level you can count on the creativity of AI, to what level you can just
But my question is what role we can play as a community towards protecting the traditional art and the artist from the downside and negative effects of the AI. Like I have heard that up until this point, I thought that AI is only negatively affecting the art, but today I found out that it is also used as a tool to that works as a favor towards art. But my question remains, what role we can play?
Well, thank you for the question, firstly. Yeah, so we've seen that AI can be used also as a collaborator, except as a tool. So it can help us. Yeah, thank you. It can help us process things in a different way. Also, it can amplify or challenge or provoke reflection. It can raise question as can an algorithm understand the emotions, the emotional weight of memory or the cultural nuances of a gesture? And it also brings us to the thought of how do we ensure that these technologies serve communities rather than abstract systems. So AI, in my opinion, has helped me explore new forms of storytelling, blending data with ideas and dreams, and it has made our vision wider in a way. And it's not just about replacing the artist, the academic, the person. It's also about expanding the canvas with the help of AI, and it can be used as a bridge for connection in a different way, in my opinion.
Thank you. Do our other panelists want to add something maybe about this? Elena?
If the question is how, of course I am not an expert of AI, but if the question is in general, how we could preserve our mind or cultural or emotional or noetical mind capital with this AI invasion in our life, and AI giving answers, and giving answers even if we don't have the right question. This is more dangerous for me. If you don't have the right question in your mind, then you have answers. This is a real danger, philosophically at least. The question is that we need to have all more and more conscious about what we have, who we are, how we are, when we are, more conscious about on our own lives before we go to the AI. If we don't have any conscience about that, and we go to the AI cannot give us conscience about what we are and what we could lose. So it's a very big, a very good exercise because we have created as humans AI. So it's a magnificent exercise for us in order to be again our minds and our lives and our ways to be in this world before we go to anyone else, as an AI, for example. Thank you.
I also would like to add how to save the traditional arts. Certainly traditional arts cannot remain as they are and just asking for help from institutions because the value and historical heritage which they represent should be somehow kept. Actually, nothing can remain the same, and art never been the same. Even traditional art is an evolving system. Now this system should evolve in a new context, in competition with this new reality. So traditional artists need to get better and to get more contextualized, to get more affinity to be more sensible to the audiences. I mean, it's a big challenge. It cannot remain as it is and just preserved in a passive form. It is the operation of those who are affected by the new processes, the traditional artists who need to move. This is my opinion.
Thank you, Christian. So I've just been informed that we're really running late. So I'm sorry, we'll have to interrupt the discussion here because we need to leave time for students to eat. So the body strikes back. We need to eat at some point as well. So thank you so much to all the panelists.
So,
and Elena,
yes,
will conclude.
Yes. Unexpectedly, amazingly, but so truly, the summit is closing now. I am very sad to say so, but this is the sad truth. Permit me to, for some minutes, to give my thanks to the ERUA UAEGN team, Γιάννης Αποστολόπουλος, Ελευθερία Χίτα, Χριστίνα Ζούπη, Κάτια Λαρισέου, and Katerina Taka, and of course Giorgos Strogilopoulos, and our UAEGN volunteer students that support us through all these days. Of course, the university services, financial and administrative, for all their help for us. And of course, all of you, each one of you, the groups, the committees, the ERUA committees that through these last months had give us ideas, had co-create with us this program, and had sustained us to our effort to be good for you, for us, for ERUA. And we are really hope that this ERUA is another step, another good step to our good collaboration, and we can have the hope that in the future, after the end of the funding period of this Erasmus program, we will be so how to say, close that we cannot not be an ERUA alliance. And so thank you so much. It was really a really amazing experience of friendship, of closeness, of inclusiveness, of, how to say, warmth. And thank you for your human presence here, but also for your scientific and research contribution to our works. Thank you so much. And a short announcement for the students that will participate to the tree planting. The bus will leave from place of Sapfo.